Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Mademoiselle Lina, and you can find me online at www.conjureknits.com. Today, we are here to do the Gemini TarotScope for November 2021, and we are going to be using the Fairies Oracle by Brian Froud. Before we get started, I would like to say thank you for viewing my video. And if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and click on the little bell so that you'll receive notifications of when I go live or upload new videos. I do try to stay pretty busy here on my channel. I do all 12 zodiac signs for the monthly tarot scopes. On Sundays, we have Conjure Crew with myself, Mambo Tanya, and the Black Bonnet Witch. On Mondays, I upload the weekly forecast. Every day, I do a card of the day reveal. On Wednesdays, we have the virtual book club. We are currently reading the Sword of Truth series by Terry Goodkind. It has been so much fun following Richard and Kaylin on their adventures, so you are definitely going to want to join us for that. I also pop on from time to time and do free readings, so make sure you get my notifications by clicking that little bell. All right, I feel that I have rambled on long enough. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Card number 1. What is the challenge for this month? And we have Gotcha. Gotcha is the out-of-the-blue fairy. He likes to surprise us. You know you're walking along, minding your own business or not minding any business at all, and the universe smacks you on your blind side with something that makes an awful splat. Unexpected demands from the tax man. The bank's hole-in-the-wall machine eats your bank card late at night while the burly and irritable taxi driver is waiting. Your children find a way to dye themselves green just before your in-laws arrive. A meteor hits your car. Gotcha is, of course, capable of happy surprises, as well as shocking or miserable ones. Perhaps your lottery ticket wins. There is a school of thought that says this is just karma. We deserve it for sins we have totally forgotten in other lifetimes. Not so. Karma is about lessons we need to learn, not about punishment, and meaningless events don't teach us much. So this may be karma, but it isn't that kind of karma. There is another school of thought that says all of these things are our choices. We chose to be there when this is happening. We choose to step in front of the invisible cosmic bus. There is some truth to this, on one level of being high in the superconscious. As Gotcha says, I know more than I see. But most of us don't function at that exalted intuitive level of consciousness much of the time. However, many of us do get hints, little flashes of intuition, and sometimes even big flashes of intuition. We often say, I knew I shouldn't have gone that way, or trusted that person, or invested in that stock. There are two things Gotcha is trying to teach us. He says he doesn't enjoy doing it, but do I believe him? Actually, I do, mostly. First, we need to learn to listen to and trust our intuition. We need to be awake and aware. It is just part of what we need to learn in order to fulfill our potential to have happy and satisfying lives. Without it, we are sleepwalking in the world, missing all of the wonders and joys, while not missing many of the bumps and pitfalls. Second, when there are lessons we need to learn, or when there are experiences that are properly other people's, but that have impact on us, we need to learn to roll with the punches, to take what comes at us, learn what we can from it, and regain our balance as quickly as possible. Things happen. We can't always control them, and we can't always get out of their way. We don't always even have a choice about them. For example, to live with a beloved animal friend probably means that you are going to lose that creature at some point, because most pets have shorter lifetimes than humans do. Other things happen as well. People occasionally win huge sums in lotteries, but this too, we need to be able to take in our stride and not be completely lost in it. Gotcha knows we like to build sturdy, rigid structures in our minds and lives, but he also knows that these often are not good for us. Sometimes we even complain about them, muttering about life being dull and boring. Yet we cling to them tenaciously. Such inner and outer rigidities usually encourage stagnation, and the unity insists on growth. So, to help us along, Gotcha kindly delivers these sudden surprises. Yet how often do we remember to say thank you? It's hard, Gotcha says, doing such a difficult job. It's enough to drive a fairy to drink. From the look of that bloodshot eye, he has already been into some of the more potent otherworld nectar. Card number 2. What positive energies can I embrace this month? And we have the Journeyman. This is about adventure, independence, polishing of skills, travel. All of the great ones, the saints, the bodhisattvas, and all of those who are filled by the spiritual light, have been on this journey. They went into the wilderness, stepping, like fools, off of the safe paths into the waiting hands of their gods and goddesses. This is the journey of life, a pilgrimage that begins in ignorant trust, passes through all of the doubts, fears, ups and downs, probably all of the delusions, and certainly all of the confusions. Through it, we learn slowly, painfully, a new kind of trust, a trust in the process, detached from the goal. Our young Ongus journeyman, blessed him, is stepping out on the journey of life, positively glowing with enthusiasm. Even his toes sparkle. Bright, handsome, and educated, he has completed his apprenticeship in fairy crafts and magics, but he has not yet achieved true mastery of his trade. To accomplish this, he must leave the protection of his master and step out onto his path as an independent journeyman craftsman. He is testing himself and his knowledge in the world. He hopes to eventually achieve the status of master maker. Right now, he knows a lot of facts, has all the basic skills, but probably knows less than he thinks he does. He is about to learn about the skills of survival, bartering, persuading, selling, buying wisely, enjoying life, making friends. At least he doesn't need to learn how to iron his own shirts. Ongus still has lovely, playful, childlike qualities. Ongus is playing balance the ball on a stick with the moon. He seems to have no constraints, sets no boundaries on what he can do. And because he is magical and doesn't set such limitations on himself, he is able to walk on air or water, or through the hills, all with the moon nicely balanced both on his stick and in the sky. Our young Ongus must learn to care for himself. No one is looking over his shoulder to see that he does his work right and eats properly. Ongus may take chances and even make mistakes sometimes, as we all do, but this is how we learn. He is now confronting and being confronted by the real world. Here, he will discover that excuses don't buy bread, and that the quality and integrity of one's work and actions are what counts, but he has been well taught and pretty well knows this already. Don't tell him I told you, but Ongus sometimes wears a false mustache, hoping that it makes him look more mature. He has romantic dreams of being a great hero, of becoming the supreme master of his craft, and of winning a fairy princess. Some of these dreams will come true, perhaps even all of them. Here we see an innocent being walking trustfully into a situation for which he is not fully prepared, and indeed cannot be fully prepared, or for which his preparation is as yet untested by reality. He is innocent of previous practical experience of the path he is now treading or the realm of life into which he is moving. This card could be called Innocence Encounters Reality, which is by no means a bad thing. His fairy godmother is lurking somewhere, just out of his sight, as fairy godmothers tend to do. Her expression is both gleeful and worried. Her hair is already whiter than it was before he began, and she is keeping her wand fully charged at all times. Although this is his journey and he must undertake it himself, almost everyone needs, and is given, a little fairy godmothering from time to time. Good-natured innocence attracts fairy guardians. It attracts helpful beings on all planes and in all worlds. It may also attract those who would abuse that innocence, but as long as our intentions are good, Our guardians will offer good guidance. We are blessed and cared for if we allow ourselves to be. The world is before Ongus with smiles and teeth. Ongus has optimism, cheerfulness, magic skills, and a diligent fairy godmother. Ongus grows within us when we step bravely into the unknown, developing our potentials with hope and optimism and an open heart. Card number 3. What negative energies do I need to negotiate this month? And we have Geomancy. This is about imaginary fears, unreal hazards, realistic caution. He refuses to tell me what the G in his name stands for because, he says, the more we know about him, the less power he has and the harder it is to do his job. This tells you a lot about him. His powers lie in our imaginations and fears, not in the real world, not in any of the real worlds. This is the wicked thing in the closet who keeps frightened children awake at night with eerie snuffling, waffling sounds. But when you turn on the light and open the door, he isn't there. Brian wrote, he exists only through the collection of our fears. The hobby thrives on fears, getting stronger and stronger until we face him. He is a sham, a tiny fear blown all out of proportion, and the smallest positive thought will banish him. All of fairyland knows this, and none is afraid of him. Hobby's job is to wave our imaginary fears in front of us, making them look as alive and real as he can. He's pretty good at this. The challenge he offers us is to see that certain fears of ours are imaginary and to distinguish them from things we actually need to be cautious about. In this way, he tries to teach us to look past the fear and see real true truth, whatever that truth is. It is a difficult job, and Geomancy, the Pook, Gotcha, the Feline, and a few other hardworking fairies get together twice a week for otherworld nectar, hazelnuts, cheese, and applesauce, and to grumble about humans and to support each other. The work they do, hard as it is merely an apprenticeship for the much harder work, for which they get to wear a starry crown, like Epona's wild daughter and Lies of the Shadows. It takes a lot of practice and skill in dealing with human flaws to get promoted to that level. If you could hear the stories they tell. Card number 4. What do I need to make time for this month? And we have Epona's wild daughter. In the bleakest part of the night, Dorcha comes, wearing her crown of fairy stars. She kneels on the ancient owl, bearer of the hidden wisdom of the night, and facing into the past with a clear, unflinching gaze, she holds us. We are held immobile, inwardly focused by her comforting yet implacable light-filled hands. She asks riddles that often seem impossible to answer at first, and yet she will not let us go until we find the solutions within ourselves. She is one of the great teachers of fairy, but her method of teaching makes Socrates' questions look like child's play. We must expect this of Dorcha because her lessons are about the shadow side of ourselves, the things we fear, our insecurities, self-doubts, and denials. She is a practitioner of tough love therapy. Dorcha is the wild daughter of Epona, Lady of the Horse and the Moon, and she takes us through the dark, hidden side of ourselves and into healing and fulfillment. From the temporary madness of rage, premenstrual tension, or great stress to the deeper and longer psychoses, she drives us on the journey through our internal hells. When we complete the journey, we are transfigured and transformed, transcending our old selves. We can never be frightened by that darkness again, whether our own or that of others. But until that journey is fully complete, we exist in a state of vulnerability, which is where most of us are most of the time. Notice, please, that it is she and not her more gentle sister, Laced, who wears the crown of stars, a mark of service, compassion, and great wisdom. Dorcha's element is moonlight, the fifth element, which tempers and tests the spirit. Through her teaching, our inner conflicts and struggles become, as they are resolved, our greatest strengths. Card number 5. What opportunity should I seize this month? And we have the Singer of Transfiguration. This is about transformation, transcendence, metamorphosis. The Singer of Transfiguration tells us that we have been through the gate, we have passed through the initiation process, and we have reached a new way of being, reflecting deep transformation within ourselves. Things will never again be what they once were. Things will never be seen in the same way by us, and this is a good thing. This singer's joyful, passionate, bright blaze of color heralds a time of fulfillment and accomplishment. As with the other singers, the power and joy of this one radiates especially strongly to the things and beings, symbolized by the cards around it. Like the reborn, renewed phoenix, this singer is aflame with vibrant, expanded life. There really isn't much I can say about this. Not even the fairies seem to have anything to add. They are just sitting around here, smiling blissfully, even old G. Doom, and humming an ethereal and beautiful melody. And the cat in my lap, Docilin, is purring so loudly it sounds like she is singing, as indeed she is. So are we all. All right, my lovelies. Let's take a look at the bigger picture here. Card number 1. What is the challenge for this month? And we have gotcha. Stagnation rules. It may seem that the situation is forever stuck, mired down in a swamp of misery, boredom, or pain. So it is, and it will remain so until someone, probably you, voluntarily sacrifices something outgrown but tightly clung to in order to acquire something better. Bear in mind that the only truly meaningful sacrifice is ourselves, our time, our energy, our attitudes and beliefs. Gotcha standing on his head suggests that we can break loose from this pattern by dedicating ourselves to some service, some voluntary, but meaningful sacrifice that will loosen the knots, break loose the cement around the joints, and set us free. Gotcha would like to see us do this and save him a lot of effort. Otherwise, he offers helpfully, I'll come and help you break loose just as soon as I have a moment to spare. Card number 2. What positive energies can I embrace this month? And we have the journeyman, adventure, independence, travel, a long path ahead, we hope. This card speaks to the need to perfect skills in working and living, but it acknowledges having a sound grounding in the basics. Optimistic, innocent, and willing to learn, Onkus also shows us that intuition serves us well, but only if we pay attention to it. Sometimes we're operating from theory alone, and our knowledge may or may not be well grounded in reality. This card does not necessarily refer exclusively to beginnings. It can also signify a progression along the path, moving into the unknown from the known, a new phase in an ongoing process. The card may also represent untested concepts or ideas, and suggest a need for balance between the intuitive and the rational as one approaches the unknown. Consider where you are going. What are your long-term goals? What are you doing that is helping you to move toward them? Card number 3. What negative energies do I need to negotiate this month? And we have Geohabia. It is time to look for the truth behind our fears, to distinguish between what is real and what is just our projection of old traumas and fears into our imaginary future. By delving into our old patterns, we can see past them to a more liberating life. Only by facing these fears honestly and seeing them for what they are, do we gain greater ability to open our hearts to the singer of courage and gain strength to face the really difficult challenges in our lives. Each false fear confronted and resolved makes us much stronger. On the other hand, perhaps there is a wicked thing in the closet, waiting for the lights to be turned out. Check things out carefully. Sometimes our fears are justified. It is important for us to learn to distinguish between the imaginary and the real. Card number 4. What do I need to make time for this month? And we have Epona's wild daughter. Epona's wild daughter, Dorcha, is the Sphinx whose riddles must be answered lest we otherwise be destroyed by our own internal conflicts. Dorcha reminds us that we cannot go forward until we have faced something buried within us that is holding us back. Her presence in a reading tells us that finding and working through this is a task of some urgency. We can expect help in this from other people, from the fairies, and from our dreams, but we must be open to these difficult questions and answers and be ready to face things about ourselves that are not as we would wish them to be. She urges us to heal the unresolved issues about who we really are and what we truly want to be. This is part of the required course in Self-Transformation 101 that we are all enrolled in here on planet Earth. The answers to her riddles often come in a sudden burst of enlightenment, like the solution to his then koan. We may watch a leaf fall or catch a glimpse of the tiny sliver of the new moon in the sky and suddenly be hit by the answer. Before that happens, we usually work long and hard upon the question, searching and digging for an answer. The realization, when we really have it, will be transformative. We will no longer be the people that we once were. You don't like this interpretation. Well, I have been telling you all along that we, you and I, and everyone else, will all receive varying messages from the fairies in the cards. Yours may well differ from mine. Ask Dorcha what message she has for you, and don't be surprised if her answer is another question or riddle. She and I both wish you well in solving it, with all our hearts. Card number 5. What opportunity should I seize this month? And we have the Singer of Transfiguration. Jackpot. This card in a reading signifies the joy of success after a time of struggle. A new way of life has been accepted and is being integrated. A sense of inner peace is growing. The struggle has all been worth it. This is a time of consolidation and joy, and is both a reward for past achievements and a time of preparation for the next climb up the path. Well, my beautiful Geminis, it looks like November will be a month of introspection for you. It is time to seek out a counselor therapist, get a past life regression reading, do some shadow work. Really work on your insides and let go of any toxic things, beings, and energies that you may be clinging to. Something better is on its way as long as you clear the path. Celebrate your accomplishments, big and small. Every breakthrough is a huge deal. This is going to be such an exciting month for you. A month of growth and adventure, amazement and wonder. Sure, we do have some work to do, but it is so worth it. I hope that this reading has helped you and will help lead you and guide you throughout the month of November. If you do feel that it has helped you and that it will help someone else, please feel free to share this video. Sharing is caring. And if you would like a more in-depth and personal reading, you can go to my website at www.conjureknits.com and click on the link at the top of the page that says, Book a Reading. Oh, and by the way, did you know that you could have gotten this TarotScope up to 2 weeks before the general public? Oh yes, check out my Patreon for details. I will drop a link in the description box below. I hope you all have a very beautiful and amazing month. Love you bunches. Shalom.